Hello everyone and welcome. It's your boy Awesome, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the first 10 things you need to know, beginners need to know about CorelDraw. These are the first 10 things you need to know in order for you to be properly introduced into the CorelDraw workspace. Now, you should know that this is an absolute beginner video. If you're not a beginner, this might seem boring to you. I initially started by starting to create the first 10 things videos, and then I realized that I just spoke about the first one and it was simply the interface and it took 9 minutes. And I now paused it there and decided that I'm going to take it into make it a 10-part series, which will make it shorter and less boring, because I know that's what most people can't endure, the boredom of having to deal with something new. And I noticed a lot of people asking me, oh, awesome, how do I get into CorelDRAW? What do I do? Where do I click first? And it's really frustrating for me to have to tell everybody what to do, how to do it, where to get started. I have to kind of analyze you, your personality, what you are looking for, and start tailoring the conversation, the discussion to you specifically. So I decided to make this video and put it online. So whoever asks me, hey, awesome, please teach me graphic design. So I'm just gonna show you what to do. Okay, now I'm going to start this first video by simply introducing you to the CorelDRAW workspace. The first thing you need to know is like a prerequisite is that the version of CorelDRAW you are using does not matter. The newer, the better. It doesn't matter if you are using version X3 or version 2022 or 2023 or X, whatever they're calling it now. It doesn't matter. However, I wouldn't recommend using for 11 or the 13, which is X3. I find them too old, although some people are stuck on those old versions of CorelDRAW. So I'm guessing if you have time to watch these videos, you're not one of those people who are stuck on those older versions of CorelDRAW anyway. So the version of CorelDRAW does not matter. That's the first thing you need to know. The version of CorelDRAW does not matter. You should try to use the newest, the newest one you could find. So once you launch CorelDRAW, you'll be welcomed with whatever you're going to see here. As far as you've installed and activated your version of CorelDRAW, the first thing you need to do is to click the plus button or Control N, whichever you feel most comfortable with. Then you choose color mode RGB. If you are going to choose CMYK, it's most likely because you are involved in industrial printing. If you don't know what industrial printing is those printing modes where they have to separate the cyan, magenta, whatever Y is. That's blue, yellow, green, and black. But if you are doing common designs that are going to print direct imagery or put it online, I recommend using RGB. If you are going to use CMYK, that means you really know what you are doing. So for beginners, choose RGB. Every other settings here can be done after or inside the software. So just choose RGB and click OK. So now, welcome. This is what the interface looks like. The first item we're going to be talking about on this interface is called the title bar. If you are an absolute beginner, like I say, this video is for absolute beginners, so don't get annoyed that I'm starting with something as simple as a title bar. So this is the title bar. Every software pretty much has a title bar, so I don't think we need to worry much about this. It has the title of your currently open document, minimize, maximize, close. Then next you have your menu bar. Although most softwares nowadays have replaced the menu bar with ribbons, however, CorelDRAW have chosen to maintain the originality of their own menu bar. Then the next, which is unique to CorelDRAW, is what we call the standard bar. You will understand why it's being called standard as we go on. The next is this, which is called the property bar. This is very significant because you're going to be using it a lot. When I mean a lot, I mean like a lot. It's going to tell you almost everything you need to know about what you're doing. It's called the property bar because it shows you every current property of whatever object you've selected. As you can see now, we haven't selected any object. The canvas area is blank, so it's showing you the size of your page, the orientation, the unit of measurement, And so you can come here and click and change the size of your page or your paper to A4. So before we even go into that, I'm going to tell you guys about what all of this means. This is called your canvas area. So this part, which is your page, is called your on canvas, and this part is called your off canvas. I'm sure we're not going to be getting into technicalities like what on or off canvas means, because we are not involved in architecture or construction or some kind of drawings like that. So all you need to know that is this is called your canvas area. Some people simply call them page or off page or on page, whatever terminology you feel comfortable with is good. So on the property bar, you can select your page size. This really helps you. Why you need a specific page size, in case you are wondering, is because of exporting and printing. Most of the time, CorelDraw only acknowledges to export what is on your canvas area or your page. Most of the time, you cannot export what is off your canvas area, or at least part of it should be touching your canvas area or your page. So I'm going to show an example of how the property bar works. There's nothing selected, so you see it's empty. If I, for example, come to click on this rectangle tool, you see the property bar immediately changes to show me the property of the tool I've selected. If I now click and drag to draw a rectangle tool, you see the properties of the rectangle tool. I can come back and click here, click an empty space, change my unit of measurement to, let's say, pixels. I like using pixels. I'll explain that later. So this is it. You see, this is 1781.25 pixels by 1787. You know the drill. This is it. So now, apart from your property bar, this is pretty much just tabs. So if you create a new document, it's going to show on your tab here. Then this is called your toolbox. We'll get into that later, but for now, let's go around and check out the canvas, the interface of CorelDraw. Then this is now called your color palette. Then after it, you can see it looks like a color palette, but it's empty. It's actually also a color palette, but this is called a document palette. It's the same as the color palette, but it helps you save the colors you've used in a specific document, so you don't have to keep going back to look for that specific color, because the color palette is actually long. It gets longer if you want it to be. So let's click on this object, for example. Whenever you want to issue a command in CorelDraw, you have to make sure the object is always selected. So I'll select this object by simply left clicking. Then I will left click on the specific color, and you see it automatically appears on your document palette to show you that, oh, you don't have to come here looking for this specific blue next time, which is called powder blue. Powder blue. Okay. So this is another blue. So you see it appears. If I click another color, red, look at it, it appears. So the document palette is very, very helpful in helping you save your colors. So the next you need to know is about your properties. This part or this pane is usually used for extra properties for your objects. This is your very, very simple and easy introduction to CorelDraw, the workspace. Trust me, I'm sure a lot of you will be like trying to jump into starting to design or starting to maybe click somewhere, but CorelDraw is mostly theoretical, and you have to familiarize yourself with the workspace to get started, because this blank empty canvas is really, really scary, especially if you are a beginner. But don't be scared. I'm going to release more videos to show you guys what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And whatever you do, you have to try to introduce yourself to the workspace. Down here, this is called, I think, the status bar. Yeah, this is what we call the status bar. You pretty much don't have to worry yourself about that. We'll get into that later. So title bar, menu bar, standard bar, property bar, tabs, toolbox, color palette, and document palette, and also the status bar. Then your panes, which shows you extra properties,